It's February 2022. Kids are back at school, finally, and hopefully it's going to stay that way this year. Many things are changing and many things are a bit uncertain. However, one thing that does not change and one thing that is always certain is that children need to be fed, and boy do they eat a lot sometimes. So I decided to do a video about school lunches and what I pack and things that you can do to save a little bit of money. So things like these LCM bars are quite popular in lunches. The reason I have them is because we got them from Food Care, so they were actually incredibly cheap. So the cheapest you can get is what have I got? I'll just be looking down because I've got notes so I could be accurate in what I was saying. So the cheapest you can get from the supermarket is $7 for a 15 value pack, which works out to be about 50 cents a bar. So what I actually do is I make up my own. So you just buy the Rice Pop cereal for $2, a jumbo marshmallow bag, which is 520 grams, which is about $5, and then you need about 150 grams of butter. Super easy to make these. All you do, you melt the butter and the marshmallows in a pot, and then you add in the Rice Pop cereal. Now you'll probably want to half that recipe because that will make up quite a lot, but if you do it that way, it works out to be about 30 cents a bar. 20 cents might not sound like a lot, but remember this is just one lunchbox item, and if, say you've got 3 kids at school like I do, between them that is 60 cents, and that's just for one day, so you times that by 5 days and it works out to be $3. So I'll show you just a few of these similar kind of cuts and how it will make a big difference in the long run. One thing I said in my very early videos is do not underestimate the value of $1. So if you have saved yourself $3 in a week, that is still $3 that you can spend on something else. Now I am very fortunate to be a stay-at-home mum. I work one day a fortnight. I don't even think that counts. So I do have the time to do baking and things like that, but something like that LCM bar recipe, it takes like maybe 5 minutes. Like it's really not very long. And it's even something if you've got a kid that's, you know, not going to burn themselves. So like my daughter who's 9, she would be able to make these up herself. And so you can outsource that to the children. But I know a lot of people are really pressed for time. There might be a single parent who is working, and so just getting anything in the lunch boxes is good enough. And so if that's where you're at, like, don't feel guilty or anything, like you don't have time to cook. It's fine. But like I said, if you can outsource to your children, it's possibly an alternative that you could try rather than trying to make them yourself. Another thing popular in lunch boxes, the snacks. Now these work out to be about 63 cents each. So if you get the packet of 12, that's $7.60. Now Woolies has an alternative that is cheaper. They are $4.40, so that works out to be about 35 cents for a packet. However, a cheaper way is you just buy the rice crackers yourself. So a cheap packet of crackers is about $1.50 for 250 grams of crackers. And then you can buy like the big tubs of the cream cheese. So the cream cheese jar that's 245 grams, the cheap one, is $2.90. And yeah, you can just get little containers and put the cheese in that, and then put the rice crackers in a container or a Ziploc bag. And it's essentially the exact same thing, except it's significantly cheaper. So if you do it that way, it works out to be about 16 cents. So even if you're buying the cheap Woolies one, if you then also buy these cheap alternatives, you're again saving about 20 cents per snack. Muesli bars. We don't do a lot of muesli bars in our house because to get the ones that are sort of healthier, that aren't just like all the glucose syrup and all of that, they are actually quite expensive. They can be like up to $1 a bar. The alternative for us is I make up my own muesli bars, or I make up muffins, or I also do cookies, and that's an advantage because the kids think they're getting a treat, but I sneak in like nuts and seeds and all that, and I grind them up, and then they just go in with the flour, and they're getting all these extra nutrients and they don't know it. And even though they are still getting like the butter and the sugar that goes in the biscuit, it is actually probably still better for them than a muesli bar. I can tell you that it's got less sugar in it, that's for sure. I have a video that I'll link in the description, Budget Snacks Healthy Muffins. And in that video, I just take you through 2 of the recipes that we commonly do. And they are freezable, so you can do up a big bulk lot and just stick them in the freezer and take them out as you need. That's what I do. So with these, you're getting a much healthier, heartier snack, and you're saving at least 15 cents, like between the muesli bar cost and the muffin cost. But that's again only if you're buying like the quite cheap muesli bars. And so in my case, that's saving me at least $2.25 a week. So that's something that we would do on a weekend with the kids home, and they help me with it. Honestly, it actually takes longer and it's harder with the kids helping me, but it's a nice time that we get to spend together, and it's teaching them to cook. And when they are older, again, I can outsource and they can make them themselves and I don't have to do anything. Looking forward to that day. So these are my freezer snacks. So over the holidays, we tried to get ahead. So we've got like some sultana and banana muffins. We've got our sweet potato muffins. These are another muffin that we made, and we got our choc chip cookies here with my sneaky healthy things in them, and Anzac biscuits, which are mostly oats, so they're probably about as healthy as a muesli bar, but yeah, they are still biscuits. So I just grab out what I need to and stick it in the lunch boxes. I do lunches the night before, so it just defrosts overnight and it's good to go by the time the kids are ready to eat it. String cheese is another popular one. So again, the cheap Woolies or Coles cheese sticks are like $3.90 for a packet of 8, so works out to be about 50 cents for a thing of cheese. If you just buy the big kilo blocks of cheese and cut it up yourself, yes, they can't pull it into strings, but for the same thing, it's costing you 16 cents. So in my case, that's saving me about $5 a week. A cheap alternative with yogurt, so you can buy the little individual tubs of yogurt, or you can buy a big tub and then just put it in little containers yourself. That will save you about 20 cents per tub for the same amount of yogurt. I actually do this for 2 reasons, because yeah, I just get this vanilla yogurt, but vanilla yogurt and the fruit yogurts and stuff are really, really high in sugar, and I do just try to watch the sugar a little bit. So I get natural yogurt as well, and I mix them in together, because I haven't quite managed to convince the kids to just have natural yogurt. And then I just get some frozen blueberries and just add that in, and they've got a lovely sweet little snack. Now within all this, please don't think that I'm telling you that what I'm doing for my kids is necessarily a healthy lunch. There's a lot of controversy out there on what is considered healthy, and that's not really the purpose of this video. This is about showing you how you can feed your children on a budget, and with trying to get a bit of a balance between healthy, convenient, and things that they'll like. And all kids are different, so your kids might not eat the same things that my kids eat. This is just giving you a bit of an idea, and there might be some things in here that are helpful for you. Popcorn is a great one. I'm yet to meet a child who doesn't like popcorn. So you can buy the little bags of popped popcorn. They're about 25 cents each, again for the cheap ones. So we pop our own popcorn. Switch to showing you how to do that. Sarah's Guide to How to Make Popcorn. This is a $10 popcorn maker we got from Target. Our first popcorn maker cost us $1 from the op shop. These bags of popcorn cost $2. You can get them from Coles or Woolies, and probably Aldi. So you just put your stuff in your popcorn machine. I use about 100 grams for what I'm doing. Make sure you've got a nice big bowl. And this bowl comes with a lid, which will be helpful with what I show you later. While we're doing the popcorn, we melt the butter. So it's about 40 grams of butter, and that just goes in the microwave. So we just melt our butter in the microwave for like 15 seconds, maybe up to 30, depending on how soft it is. And it can splatter, so it can be good to put a lid on, which I didn't do. So if I get butter all over my microwave, I'll just deal with the consequences of that. Everyone in the house gets very excited about popcorn. And as it explodes out, I've got my clean-up crew who come and get all the bits that get put everywhere. There's bits that don't always pop, so what I do is I get a second bowl and I like transfer it over. So that's how many kernels are left in the bottom of the bowl, so I just put them back in and keep popping. So that's all the extra popcorn we got just by popping or re-popping those seeds. You'll always have some that don't pop, but it's worth giving it a second go. Then we just add in some salt. Oop, that was probably a bit too much. And here's our melted butter, and that just goes in. And then Rachel will demonstrate how we put the lid on.
And then you shake it up.
Yep, and you give it a really good shake, shake, shake.
Then you hold it so that it doesn't just go everywhere.
Yes. Okay, and to get the rest of the butter out, like I just kind of do that and scrape around. And then we just give it one more good shake. Now, if you don't have a really great bowl like me, you can just use like a big mixing bowl and put a plate over the top like that, and then you just shake it around as well. So then we get our little Ziploc bags and our bowl, and so we scoop out about that much for a portion, and that goes in the Ziploc bag. You need to wait for it to cool down properly though, otherwise I find you get a bit of moisture in the bags. So that made up 7 bags of popcorn. So you don't have to add butter to the popcorn, and if you do, you can add less than what we do. So if you do it without the butter, it works out to be 7 cents a bag. If you do it with the butter, it's about 12 cents. So, you know, let's kind of split the difference and say that these bags are about 10 cents each. So again, that works out to be a saving of about $2.25 a week. So say you have 3 kids that go to school like I do, and you were to put each of those things in their lunch boxes every day for the 5 days that they're at school. Let's just say we'll alternate between the yogurt and the Le Snack, because personally I think if you're giving them a Le Snack, a yogurt and a cheese stick, that's probably more dairy than what they need really. If you were to do that and you buy the cheapest of everything in the like generic brands, like the cheaper Le Snacks and everything, even so, what you would be saving is at least $16 a week. To some people that might not sound like much. To other people, that would free up some finances for some other things that they need. So that would actually be incredibly helpful. And let's assume that you're not buying the absolute cheapest of everything and say it would save you about $20 a week. Again, to some people that might not sound like much, but over the course of a year, so this isn't actually taking into account school holidays, but it's also not taking into account weekends where the kids might eat these kind of snacks as well, and so that'll save you more money. This would end up saving you over $1,000 a year. Now that's enough that you could go on a little family holiday. It might seem like a little bit, but over the course of the year, it does make a difference. And that's just the savings on those specific things. So other things that we put in lunches are carrots. I find a lot of kids do really like carrots because they're quite sweet and you just chuck it in as it is. Carrots are usually about $2 a bag, or you can get the odd bunch ones, which are even cheaper, and they can be extra fun. My son likes them because they're like all really weird shapes. I always put fruit in the kids' lunches. I pretty much only will buy fruit that is in season and on special. So for example, if apples are like $5.50 a kilo, we just probably won't get them that week, and if we do, we'll just get a couple. Grapes at the moment are still around $8 or $9, so we don't buy those, but when they come in season, they get really cheap and we will buy grapes. Generally, I don't like to spend more than $3.50 a kilo on my fruit. Because of that, we sort of alternate which fruits we have each week. Like I said, I just look at what's on special and buy that. A hack that another mum gave me, which I don't do with my kids, but I can see where it's really valuable. She had mostly boys, so I think this was definitely more relevant to her. So quite often kids say that they don't have enough time to eat their lunch. And, you know, particularly boys, they just want to be off running around and burning their energy, and that's great. but she was still trying to get the fruit into them, so she was giving them dried fruit, and you really don't have to give them very much when it comes to dried fruit, because keep in mind it's like fruit but condensed. So make sure they're drinking water, because that's the bit they're missing out from the fruit. But then they can just have a really little handful, quickly shove it in their mouths and have their sip of water and go off and play, and it's way quicker than eating like an entire apple. And this way too, it's really easy to mix it up and give them like a few different fruits in the one thing. So that's not one that I do, but I still thought it was a really good idea. And dried fruit's not too expensive, and especially when, like I said, you don't really need to use very much of it, so it's just a small handful. Adding to that, people quite often like to do trail mixes and stuff. Unfortunately, I have not yet convinced my children to eat nuts, and obviously there are children out there who can't eat nuts, and there's schools that are nut-free and all that. But if you can do trail mixes with nuts and seeds, that's good. On the surface, they do look very expensive, but this is another one where you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, lots of nutrition, and they're quite high in fat and protein, so they tend to keep kids full for longer, like way longer than if they were just eating a whole bunch of rice crackers, for example. A budgeting tip with that though is, instead of buying the trail mix pre-made, you buy all the individual nuts and seeds and fruit and whatever, and you mix it together yourself. The reason that works out cheaper is because they always fill the trail mixes with all the cheapest things like sultanas and peanuts, and then the more expensive nuts, they just put a few in. So when you're comparing the price of a bag of trail mix to a bag of, say, almonds, you'll go, oh, it's not too bad, it's like just a tiny bit more expensive. But because they're using all the cheaper nuts, it actually works out that it's a fair bit more expensive. So making it up yourself can be good. And you can get the kids to make it up, and they can pick the nuts and seeds and whatever that they like the most. Pikelets are a good little snack that kids tend to like, and again, this is one that you can sneak in nuts and seeds and ground them up if you've got a blender, and then just add them in, and it gives it that extra nutrients. And they just have them cold with maybe a little bit of butter or jam or anything on them, or they can just have them as they are. They can be quite nice. To make a pikelet, it's really easy. It's flour, egg, milk. Most people will probably want to add in a little bit of sugar because kids are used to things being sweet. If you make them up yourself, I guarantee it will have a lot less sugar than the ones that you buy in the supermarket. A lot of people like meat on their sandwiches, so ham's a really popular one. I buy, you can get like a 4-pack of these little hams from Coles and Woolies. I found this is actually the cheapest way of buying ham usually. It works out to be $13 to $14 a kilo, and they come in these little individual packets and you just use them as you need them. They usually last about a month unopened, so you can buy your 4 packs and just cut them up and use them as you need them. Buying ham from the deli is usually more like between like $14 and $22 a kilo. If you're buying turkey and ham, that is actually really quite expensive. They're more up around like the $20+ a kilo. You just grill some chicken breast and then just shred it up yourself. That works out to be about $10 a kilo. Shred it up, put it in the fridge, and then you just use it as you need it. It will last for a few days. I have another video that you may find helpful, which is what we eat in a week. And again, I'll put the link in the description just to give you an idea of the kinds of foods we eat. So my shopping budget for a household of 6 is about $200 a week, and I spend a lot more than what I used to. I could certainly spend a lot less than that. It's just now we do have a little bit more money, so I buy things that are a little bit more convenient, which always costs more money, like grated cheese, for example, instead of just buying the block and grating it up myself. And sometimes, like for example, my son really loves oranges, so sometimes when they are a little bit more expensive, I still buy him oranges. But for a lot of people, feeding a family of 6 for $200 a week, it probably sounds fairly cheap. So yeah, that'll just help you with a few hints of how we manage that. I also do manage that through discounts and stuff, which again, I have another video about discounts and how that applies to my shopping, so I'll link that one too. And hopefully all of this helps you with saving money, feeding your children and feeding your family, because I do know it can be very expensive and very difficult. But I think the most important thing to remember is please do not be too hard on yourself. Don't worry if you're not getting like the balance of nutrients and all that. I'm sure your kids will survive. Sometimes near enough is good enough, and kids are very resilient. They'll probably be fine. And if you have to go for more convenient and less healthy because it saves you time and that's what you have to do in your situation, then do it and don't feel guilty about it. And feel free to comment with extra tips and stuff that you have, because no doubt there is a lot out there that I don't do and haven't tried, and it might be really helpful for me and for anyone else reading the comments. So we'll just have a quick look at what everyone's got. So this is Ben. He is a 7-year-old boy. He has yogurt with blueberries. He's got a sandwich, popcorn, piece of fruit, half a carrot. He's got his muffin thing there and his chopped chip. And that is a fruit mince pie, which I am trying to fatten him up a little bit because he is so skinny. And he loves these things, and after Christmas they were on clearance for like $1 for 6. So I bought like a bunch of those because they don't really go off. Or they do after like a year, but... So my daughter, who is 9, she's got the popcorn, she's got cheese and cucumber, 2 pieces of fruit, a carrot, a muffin, a cookie, and a sandwich. And she actually eats a bit, so I might add in like some crackers with avocado or something, because I actually am not sure that will be enough for her. But anyway, okay, and for my 5-year-old girl, who actually eats quite a bit as well, we've got the sandwich, the cookie, she's got strawberries and blackberries, so they're just the frozen ones, which are quite cheap. And she's got cheese, carrot sticks, cucumber, and there's her muffin and her popcorn.